Hi, and welcome to the first ever episode of A History of PlayStation Secrets. Today I'm going to be looking at two of my all-time favourite games, Crash Bandicoot and MediEvil, or more specifically, the stuff that you weren't meant to see. Personally, I'm emulating the game in ePSXe 1.7 and using the PSX Emulation Cheater, or PEC, a free downloadable plugin, along with ROM images that I've personally ripped from my own legally owned discs. Get yourself one of these babies for the authentic PlayStation experience. You can also do this on a real PlayStation GameShark or Action Replay device. If you want to use PEC like I am, you first got to install and run the program. I've put a link in the video description. It does come with a lot of its own codes, but there are many times when you want to add new ones. To do that, click on File, User Database, Add Cheat, name it whatever you like, and add the code, or codes if there's more than one line. Also, make sure the checkbox is ticked if you want to activate the cheat now. Click OK, then Yes, then on the main screen click Send Cheats to Plugin. Open up ePSXe, run your ROM, and the cheat should be activated. Anyway, back to Crash Bandicoot. This game only has one real hidden gem in the form of Stormy Ascent, a level cut from the game that was discovered by a Crash fan 13 years after the game's release. Despite the level being cut from the game, it wasn't removed from the disc, and can still be accessed today via cheat codes. Here are the codes that I used for the NTSC or North American version. I'll put these in the video description too. The reason for this level being scrapped was its punishing difficulty, and shit, it is difficult. To be honest, I had to use save states while recording this. Completing the level would have taken me too long without them. Your worst enemies in this level are the moving blocks and the sliding steps. Platforms like these I found a bit confusing at first, and platforms like these require precise timing. The sliding steps are unrelenting, and almost always lead to a sparky death. At the end of the level, for some reason, if you collect the question mark box, Crash does that jump that he does when he finds all the bonus tokens, and the game crashes. How fitting. Although, if you decide to ignore the box, you get the map title, and then get sent back to the Universal logo at the start of the game. It's a nifty little Easter egg for long-time fans, but I would have thought a classic like Crash Bandicoot would have had more secrets and mysteries to offer. Well, fear not, because last year a prototype of the game turned up on file-sharing sites, and it's got some very interesting content. Along with a few subtle nuances between the final product and the prototype, exist 3 unfinished stages and a test room. To play these levels, I'm again using ePSXe, although instead of PEC, I'm using a free program called Cheat Engine. This process is a little more complicated and fiddly and doesn't always work. It did work for me most of the time. There's also a downloadable trainer that claims to do the same thing, but I just plain couldn't get that to work at all. First you want to download and install Cheat Engine. Again, I'll put a link in the video description. Once it's installed, you want to load the Crash prototype ROM. Skip the title screens until you're at the map screen, then minimize the emulator by pressing Escape. Open up Cheat Engine and you'll see a green and red flashing box. Click the box, select ePSXe and hit Open. After that, you want to click ID Address Manual and enter this. You should now see a new entry with the address that you just entered and a long value number. Double click the value number. This is the number you'll want to replace to tell the game which level you want to access. Input the corresponding level value, which I'll list as we go. Hit OK, and then in ePSXe, click Run, then Continue. You should be automatically taken to the level specified. Like I said, this doesn't always work and sometimes just hangs on a black screen. It took me a few tries before it actually did work. I should also note that the active checkbox seemingly does nothing, as I've had it work with it both checked and unchecked. Let's start with the test room. It only takes up a single screen, so there's not a lot to do. The first thing you notice is that awful audio static. You can kill the enemies as normal, and yourself. If you walk on this hill, Crash glows green. Also, you can walk off the platform and into the distance, until Crash eventually disappears. If you collect all 3 bonus tokens, you actually are taken to a bonus stage, although it has no ending, and your only option is to jump off. Next we have what is referred to as the cavern level. This level looks pretty cool, although for some reason touching a wall kills you. There's no sound either. It's a short level, and at the end there's a crack in the wall that also kills you when you walk into it. After that we have the cliff level, which is somewhat longer than the cavern level, but still very underdeveloped. Instead of static, this level has an eerie screeching background noise. There's this weird dingo that instantly appears when you touch it, which neither attacks you, nor can it be attacked. Also, Crash has some nasty ass green back hair. Whenever you kill an enemy, some green pixely mess appears in the top left corner of the screen. Other obstacles include falling boulders, and this construction barricade, which you can actually collect. The level abruptly ends on a platform, although you can jump onto the background and move around. Maybe they're just untextured platforms, who knows. Finally, we come to the Waterfall level. This is by far the longest of the 3 unused levels. A lot of textures are missing and that weird dingo is back. I really like these bits where the log catapults you up. You also have spinning platforms, crumbling platforms, slippery slopes and these bouncy flowers. Hey look, another barricade. Eventually you reach the top of the waterfall with nowhere else to go. Oddly enough, you can go in the water without getting hurt. It almost looks like that's where the exit might have been. The audio is similar to that at the cliff level. I'm going to quickly talk about MediEvil, and I say quickly because there's not much hidden content here, but there is a few kind of interesting things. Again, I'm using ePSXe and PEC. Of the few game chart codes for MediEvil, there is one that activates extra options. Here's the code I used. Also, I'm running a PAL version of MediEvil. I should mention that there's a button combination cheat that activates the same thing, but it differs per region. The extra options include a debug menu which renders the landscape in Dan, but not any of the doors or items. Although it's still as if the doors are there, you can't walk through them. There's cheats, an FMV player. Let's see, we've got Scarecrow Fields, the Asylum Grounds one, the actually I don't remember this. And it's no wonder I don't remember it. It never appeared in the game. Why would they have cut a perfectly good FMV like that? It was obviously meant to come before the inside the asylum level. Actually, now that I think about it, I do remember this clip, or at least part of it, but not from this disc. From an old demo disc that I had that contained a trailer for MediEvil. Unfortunately, I don't have the disc today, but thankfully others have ripped the trailer from it and it's now widely available. I won't show you the whole thing, it's actually pretty long. Halfway through the trailer you see this though. Look familiar? If it was good enough to use in the trailer, why wasn't it good enough to use in the game? It's baffling. Speaking of the trailer, check this out. Remember the dragon that chases you in the game? Well, they were actually going to have a level where you run from the dragon. Good luck with the dragon. How elaborate is that for a level we never even get to play? Again, why they cut it I have no idea. Another difference from the trailer is that you can seemingly walk around at the very start of Dan's crypt. In the actual game, this scene was all automated. Well, that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll be back soon with more hidden gaming goodness. Until then.